In 2007, Voice of the People USA started. George W. Bush was president at the time. Our country had gone to hell. We had international spying, Homeland Security spying on Americans. The Patriot Act was an abuse, was an abomination to the American people, the privacies, the liberties. Taxation was out of control, the government collapsing. Then Obama comes in, and it gets worse. Drone strikes on civilians, continuations, wars, tax to hell. And I decided that it was time to get more vocal. So we started in 2007. We held multitude of rallies. We kept going harder in 2008. And then by the middle of 2008, our President of the United States of America, Barack Hussein Obama, listed me and Voice of the People USA as a domestic terrorist group. For those who know, you can appreciate the irony of that. And we continue to go. We continue to hold our rallies. There were imitators, Tea Party, couldn't do what we did. They came out and tried to emulate and reach out to me to see, how do you do what you do? How do you hold all these events? How do you bring people together? Because we focused on people who cared and were outraged and wanted a voice and wanted to be heard. They couldn't understand that. All the Tea Party saw when they looked at you were money signs. When I looked at you, I saw people who deserved to have a microphone, deserved to be heard. So we did what we did. But eventually the Tea Party made millions and millions and millions and did what they continued to do at that time. They did nothing. They changed nothing except lie to you, deceive you, and bleed you dry, just like the government. They were literally taking your money to protest the government taking your money. And what did they change? Nothing. So, Voice of the People after Arizona, we went silent on the rally scene, but we continued on the radio. Whether it was me alone or a multitude of hosts, we continued and continued and continued and continued, doing shows constantly, Politishock, and eventually people will come back and say, hey, you were right. I don't want to be right. I didn't want to be right about anyone or anything. All I wanted to do was be honest and have integrity and do the right thing for all of you. That's all I cared about. 2016, I went to a rally in Charleston, West Virginia that President Trump, well then candidate Trump, was having. So of course I had the chance to meet Donald Trump, and upon him signing my sign, for those who know, you know, he does the scribble signing when he's at rallies, but he did take the time to talk to me. And when I told him my name, he remembered me. He said, Dan Smeriglio. He said, how come you haven't had any more events? Time to get back to work. The country needs you now. I asked him what my mother was doing. He watched our rally live streamed in 2010 when he met with the families that lost their relatives at the hands of illegal immigration to criminals. He met with them doing roundtables in Arizona. He asked our friends, our people, about where's Dan and Dan from Pennsylvania? They haven't been here in a while. Why aren't they holding more events? They couldn't wait to tell me. But then to hear it myself from the man telling me it's time to get back to work, I thought that was so great. So to President Trump, I could say, a little bit late, never went away on the radio. After all these years, 14 years to the day of when we held our last rally, we are back. And to show you the duality and the hypocrisy of it, 2009, I'm listed as a domestic terrorist, right? Started in 2008. But just for context, 2009, domestic terrorist by President Barack Hussein Obama. And in 2019, I'm invited to the White House by President Donald J. Trump. See the irony there? See the duality? What 10 years can do? I'll never forget that. I'll never forget it. Getting the invitation to his inauguration in 2017 was amazing. But to be invited to the White House? That's an honor. It was an honor that that man, 6 years after our last rally, remembered my name and told us to get back to work. We were our most active, yes, during Bush, but mostly under Obama. And let's face it, Obama's running the country now. We're taxed to hell. Everything's gone to shit. Where's the Tea Party? Are they out there? Are they holding their tax day rallies? Where are all the groups that were around when it was a great and grand opportunity to take your money and make millions and do nothing for any of you? Do nothing for our country except line their pockets. Where are they? Where were they all these years? They're nowhere to be found. And that's okay. You know why? Because you exist. You out there, you're pissed. You're hurting. You're feeling it. And it's time for leadership to come back to the White House, to this country. It's time for true activism that has no ulterior motive to return, that cares more about you and what you're going through. You and I don't matter to them. Consider us nobodies, nothing. And if you're loud, if you're vocal, they consider you a threat and they try to eliminate you. And they try to silence you, and they take from you, and they make your life a living hell. I'm a nobody, just like you. All us nobodies are somebodies because they fear us, and they've gone to great lengths to hurt us. The forgotten man, woman, right? Forgotten no more. Trump said it. I've always believed it. I believed it long before there was a Trump. But that's okay, because because now we have somebody fighting at the top, going through hell to come back to work for free to fight for you and I. So this is the perfect time. The void is there. The void of real leadership. We were nobodies. We were nothing, right? But we were a big enough threat for them to attack us and do what they did and list us as they listed us. Their problem is underestimating us and taking advantage of us for years and years and years. And those, the forgotten men and women, the people who have the audacity of working for a living and busting their ass and fighting and struggling and trying hard to be good, decent people. You're the enemy. I'm the enemy. Together, we are the enemies of the state. We are the enemies of the establishment. We are the enemies of those who hate freedom and hate liberty and hate prosperity and hate our country. I hope you know that. And the more they underestimate us and the more they punish us, the angrier we become. So what do? We fight back, and we use what we have, our passion, our heart, our integrity, our voices. It's now or never. We have a multi-billionaire running for president again, as far as I'm concerned, the rightful president. Everybody had their speculations as to is he legit or not. Well, you know what? One man went in, lost $2 billion, worked for free, donated his paychecks, and has been sitting in court for years, being chastised, being demonized, trying to take his life, destroy him. For what? For what? For doing the right thing? While these other demons, these other presidents sit back and they watch and they laugh. Why didn't Trump give himself immunity at the end of his term? Preconditional immunity. What did Trump say? That's what guilty people do. These bastards are never held accountable. None of these people are held accountable. So while we have somebody who is fighting once again to work for free and go through hell for us, it is time for us to recognize it's more than just attending a rally for Trump. It's more than just attending a protest in the street for Trump. It's about us coming together and fighting for him, for ourselves, for our country, fighting back. We have to do it ourselves. And we have to show that man who sacrificed so much for us that we're willing to fight for him, for ourselves, for our country, for those who do the right thing. It is time to cast out all those people that took your money and took advantage of you. To all the fakes, to all the frauds out there, all of them. To hell with them. I bring them up for context, but they are the past for a reason. They got rich off of your passion. They got rich off of your fears. They betrayed you the way that your government has betrayed you for decades. But they put the mask of patriot on. In reality, they're a patriot. You know what I'm talking about. P-A-Y. Where are they now? They're gone. May they stay gone. This is about coming back and doing what needs to be done. Fighting with truth, with passion, and with power. I believe in you. We may not have the resources of a billionaire. We may not have the backing of a political party, but we have our hearts. We have each other. And that's why it's time to take a stand. Look at what they've done to you. Look at what they've done to your families. Look at what they've tried to force on you. Locking you down, masking you, taking away your rights, forcing you into subservient slavery. Is that okay? The Tea Party, right? I know I brought it up. Taxation is higher than it ever was in 2007, 2008. Where are they? Nobody's coming for you. You have to do for you and your family and your country. It's time for us to get back out there. We preach peace. We preach unity through strength. At the same time, we're not going to back down and run away like chicken shits and cowards. We're going to fight back using the thing they fear the most, our minds, our hearts, and our voices. I've shared my story with you. From domestic terrorist, nobody, to invited to the White House. Still a nobody. But Trump said it in 2016. It took longer than anticipated. We never really went away. And 14 years later, I'm coming back not to be a leader. We're coming back not to be the figurehead. To show people, to remind some how it's done, to be fearless in the face of adversity, to stand up to those who challenge and threaten. There's no other way. I think you get that. They want us to take up guns and take up arms against them. They want that. We're better than that. We're smarter than that. But we're still fighters. I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to fight for us. I'm going to fight for me, for my family, for my wife, the people that I love. I'm going to fight for you, just like you want to fight for yourselves. It's time to get back to work. I will keep my promise. He's not fighting alone. We got the streets covered. It's time now.